I'm thrilled that you're having such a great time and so forth. I want to keep going though because I want to leave time at the end for like 15 minutes of questions and so forth. So if people need to get out and get home after a long day, I totally understand. So I just want to keep the cadence going. A little shameless promotion here of the O'Reilly training courses and so forth. So you can go on and get a free trial, and then it's $39 a month for individuals. And then if you're a big part of a big dog company, your dogs at the big dog company have to talk to O'Reilly, fight it out and so forth. Okay, I did rush by a slide that I do think is important, but kind of like a bit of a duh slide, which is that lies are the kryptonite of critical thinking. They are just death to critical thinking. If I put my thumb on the scale and try to mislead people, I'm not doing critical thinking, and I'm wrecking it for somebody else. So it kind of goes without saying, but I feel like that's something that we really need to sort of keep in mind when we're talking about this whole subject and so forth. All right, moving on. So we're talking about how to work in a team, like the meetings and whatever. Now we're going to go large, critical thinking, large, pound flex, and corporate politics. Oh. I'm a Glassdoor junkie. Are you guys at all? I love looking on Glassdoor. Absolutely love it. So not that I'm looking for a job, but I just love to see what other people are thinking. And they'll give something like 5 stars. This is an awesome place to work. And the pros, I love the 401k, I love the lunches and everything and stuff. And it's all wonderful. And the people are awesome. And then the cons are like, it's horrible here. The bureaucracy is, and you kind of wonder why did they give it 5 stars? And you almost wonder if there's some kind of fear that if your name was ever associated with that, well, I gave you 5 stars, right? So maybe that's it. I don't know. But
the same person said both things.
The same person gives 5 stars and then really rips into it in the cons. It's fascinating. Check it out. Any company, you'll see that happening. Okay, so I, as a result of being in the corporate world and then finally connecting that back with critical thinking, came up with this theory about organizations. So there's, I think, kind of generally, and maybe there's a continuum. I'm still trying to figure that out. If you have any thoughts about that, I'd love to hear them. But I see two kind of extremes in a way, and these are kind of syndromes. So pound companies, and it's an acronym. So pound companies are often very heavy on process. The process necessitates a lot of oversight, which in turn means employees who are really smart, bleedingly smart. I've just never met anybody in all my corporate experience who was really smart, very well educated, and knew their stuff. I'm saying that with total honesty, and much of the time, they're underused. Their talents are not being used. And then along with this kind of syndrome comes a negativity towards other companies' products. So you'll hear that a lot from large corporations in the idea of let's all be together and be a team. So that means their product sucks, right? So there's that negativity instead of going, ooh, that is really an interesting product and we could do better, but let's admire it. Let's not say that it's stupid or something, because that means people are blind. They blind themselves then to real competition down the line. And then along with that comes a kind of dogmatism. We do it this way. So that's the pound corporation. Flex organizations, on the other hand, are highly fluid. Somebody might be a lead of, let's say, a pilot test or a project. Then they might follow another project. There's a certain kind of more of a moving along, and things don't have to be just so much like this. And if people say, ooh, we want to go off and try that, they can. Loyal opposition is expected and needed. So to say, I think something could be better in a flex organization should only get kudos for you, never get you in trouble. In a pound organization, it can be dangerous to question, right? If I say something, well, I'm going against my boss or whatever. Okay, and then finally it's experimental, as I've talked about. So the pound organization sees people really as workers and as levels. You're this level, you're hired to do this, and that's, stay within your position and so forth. In a flex organization, people are thought of more as thinkers. This person is a thinker. Are they thinking about that? Oh, cool. What are they thinking, and how can we explore that? So I'll give you a little bit of language. Thinking in a pound kind of world would be somebody worrying, what will the boss think? As opposed to, well, wait, what do I think? I sense there's something wrong, but if I say something, it won't get fixed, and I could get in trouble for mentioning it. Might hurt me on my performance review, because somebody's ox can get gored if I talk about this. The flex person's instead thinking, what is wrong with this picture? Do I want to conduct a test and propose a fix? Do I want to get together with a bunch of people and propose a fix? The pound is somebody's asking, okay, I got to get permission. How many people should be included in the meeting? Like already, I got to get these stakeholders, that language, stakeholders, stuff like that. The flex person is saying, do I need a meeting? Do I really need to get people together with this? And then the pound, I'll need to create a PowerPoint proposal and sell it to others before I can get the okay. So it's permissioning. In a flex is, I'll just go ahead with a small experiment and let people know what I found if it seems helpful. If it just comes to nothing, then nobody needs to be bothered. But somebody has taken the initiative. Again, that's autonomy. This is real autonomy on the right. On the left, it's absolutely not. And then this is another one. Even though I think this is the most important thing for the company, I could never pursue it because it's not my area. So in a flex organization, you say it's not directly in the area, but I think it's really the most important thing for the company. So I'll find out, is anybody looking at this? Anybody want to join me in looking at this? So it's not that you kind of do a one-up on the person there, but you say, hey, this could be really important. You want to join, you want to do something together. So it's a very different kind of mentality. People are thinking different thoughts in these two companies. And the pound has to look impressive. The deck be 100 slides, right? Has to look really good and be loaded with footnotes and stuff. And the flex is, it has to be correct, not overstated. Just, you do it and that's it. You're a thinker. You're not somebody who is in this kind of organization. Quick history of bureaucracy. Anybody here in new companies, like a really brand new company? Oh, okay, cool. Okay. So this is my theory, so you can tell me if this is wrong. But so a new company revs up. There's a couple of people running around going crazy, doing everything. And then with profits coming in, profits, they're overworked, new people get hired. Totally wonderful. People put new processes in place. That might be okay. But people, political, they want to be noticed and promoted because we all want to do better. We all want to get ahead. So they add processes, or in the case of products, product features. And the reason is it's a visible way to show your worth and get promoted. So I talked to a colleague who was in a completely different department from the one I was in another job, and a 2-page guidance document at the beginning turned into 300-page. So there's a lot of people promoted on that document, but think of the potential waste that represents then for every single person coming afterwards that has to go through this document. And it had to do with dealing with customers. So it was a total showstopper. You know, did you do this, 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 this? So there is something really strange about this, and yet it's very human, because it plays into a political part of ourselves. We are political animals, as Aristotle says. So what happens then is political growth about adding whole areas to the company. And if it's a billion-dollar company, they can afford this. This is the amazing thing. You know, it's this giant thing out there that is not connected with the profits, but they're making so much money that all that stuff is just sort of, in a way, almost hidden away in the company. Just fascinating. Okay. So what if critical thinking could prevent this? So here's the thing, when you have a flex organization, you have a kind of a paradox of a democracy, but you still have hierarchy. I just think, I don't know, I don't think we can ever get rid of hierarchy. You know, even in the most rigidly sort of communal situation, somebody's always kind of telling people, you know, something. You know, there's always that thing. And also, you know, just our own evolutionary history as humans, we really snap to with a hierarchy. You know, there's just something very, very intuitive about, whoa, that person is whatever. So it's very hard to sort of think that could like melt away in some way. However, if you have people who get promoted for testing ideas to help make or save money, and also, and this is a great book by this guy Sapolsky called Behave. It's just a wonderful book, in which he actually very cleverly, he talks about this, but he says, you know, people are really ambitious. So what you want to do is you want to make the reward for ambition to be helpful to other people, not just you're the kingpin or queen pin or something like that. So you can manipulate it from the top, which I just think is brilliant, you know. So you manipulate it so that people behave more like the flex kind of situation and maybe are punished if they, or demoted or whatever, name it, not killed, but you know, something. Something awful, yeah, anyway. So human is by nature really a political animal. So now I'm going to move into a somewhat darker phase, and I'm going to give you a word from human nature. Human nature. So Plato talks about being in the cave, and I couldn't bring a cave tonight, sorry. So it's going to be these goggles. These are the goggles of bias that as humans, we all, you know, I'm sort of standing here representing humankind, if you will, because we all have these goggles and so forth. But don't despair, because I want you to figure out a way out of it. So the one thing is some amazing biases we carry. For instance, people who wear red are more likely to be believed. That's just crazy. It's crazy. Tall people, on average, for every 6 inches of extra height, make $5,000 more per year. What? It's crazy. Crazy stuff. Yep. Women who wear makeup are more likely, tend to make up to 30% more in salary than women, and I assume this is identical jobs, right? 30% more for wearing makeup, and are considered more believable and trustworthy. And you could just go on and on. It's strange.
Because they pay attention to details.
I guess. I have no idea. But you don't know what their laser's doing. They may be paying attention to the wrong details, right? So this is really something that, we've got the culprits. We know about the culprits of bias, racial, gender, age, there's all those are kind of the usual culprits. What I think is not so readily understood, that we got a lot of stuff going on. But I'm a total optimist. I mean, I think there are ways of people being thinkers and kind of getting around that kind of bias and so forth. And now I've got to take this off because it's hard to read. But there are other things too that really start making things very political in the workplace. There certainly is emotion, and we go through our workday not showing, except happy face or something, but there is a lot of emotion running underneath things, and there are a lot of decisions that are made that are based kind of on emotion and so forth. So that's one thing that it's just something that we have to kind of go, ooh, I know, ooh, that's happening. Tribalism, I mean, we're in a worldwide epidemic right now, and alas, of a kind of tribalism. And this is something that's gone back just thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, that humans are great at getting together in a group and getting something done. And but we're also great at getting together in a group and killing that other group. So that's gone on for millennia. But it's something that now one would hope that we would be thinking about within an organization. But there's lots of tribalism, I found, within large organizations. We don't want that group to look better than us, right? That sort of thing. So again, if possible, to try and transcend those things by critical thinking, by always going, okay, but what's the evidence? How can we fix that? That's not good. It's just always this idea of roll up your sleeve and fix it. Lack of time to think critically, and again, that is something that in a flex organization, we say, we need you to take that time, and we will reward you. Even if you fail at something that you're trying, we're going to reward you because that's why we hired you, to think. Pecking order is really tricky. And that's where I was talking about that Sapolsky solution before, which is there always will be a pecking order. People will try to get ahead. That's nature. But is there a way of sort of fixing it so that the people at the top are rewarded, and they are put at the top by being generous and bringing along the people lower down, and assuming that every single person can do critical thinking. Somebody cleans the bathrooms, hey, they got a brain, they could do critical thinking. It's not sort of like, ooh, we are the ones at the top and we alone have the ideas and you little people. No, it's a very different thing. And then finally, there's a misunderstanding about gaining knowledge. All the critical thinking and driving knowledge I talked about, people don't have any idea about that, and they act intuitively. If intuitively it doesn't appeal to them, well, it's no good. Whereas we know that so many counterintuitive ideas have become mainstream. Far from everything, but the point is you don't rule things out because intuitively you don't like it. So that's sort of the lesson there. Okay, so I just want to throw this out to you because it's so huge, but you guys are so smart. So here's the thing, we know how to work around bias in other fields, right? So we know, for instance, that there are double-blind studies for the efficacy of drugs. And also, I want to say, in science, the fact that people can't see infrared, nobody feels guilty about that. Nobody. And I think one of the things, when you hear the B word, it's sort of like, I don't want to, that makes me bad. But if you think of it as these are innocent, unconscious biases. I mean, unless somebody's being hateful, but forget those people. it's the people who are well-meaning, but who fall into these things by accident. We have to try to figure out ways that we can avoid that so that we're not promoting the taller person inadvertently, right, or whatever it is. So I don't know the answer to that. I'm just wondering, is there some kind of double-blind hiring, and what would that look like? And double-blind reviews as well. What would that look like? How could it get so anonymized that it could end up being fair? So people would be even surprised they're promoting somebody over there that intuitively they never would have done that. The biases would have kicked in. So that's just kind of like, think about it if you feel like it. But I think it's one of the largest problems that we face, and it's not just the race and gender are heavy duty enough, but this is something that's more wholesale, and I think a lot of people could get behind that and not feel that it's just, some kind of niche group's view. It's sort of human beings. Okay, so, here's the fun thing. So this is this new chronobiological stuff. This represents a kind of a graph of your day. If you are an early riser, how many larks do we have in here? Is everybody kind of an early riser? We have owls. People get up. Okay, sorry, owls. This really goes against you, and the corporation is bad. All right, so anyway, so most people are actually, and this is worldwide. This is an amazing finding. People kind of get up, coffee, doing better, they're at work. They hit a wonderful moment, and then honk, they slide down in the afternoon. It's something you might intuitively now be understanding, but actually you might have thought, well, if somebody's really highly trained, they can transcend this, but not so much. Not so much. So don't get a colonoscopy at 3 in the afternoon, because it's 30% more errors from the same physician. It's incredible. We can't fight our own biological rhythms, and this is a rhythm. So owls so a lark, this might be 6 a.m., owl, I don't know, 10, 11. So, but evidently that trajectory is the same. So we're here, I hope, right now, moving upward. Anyhow, so this is such a great book by Daniel Pink. It's called When. And so he makes a very good case. The mornings are much better for critical thinking, and any heavy lifting mentally is better done in the morning for us larks. The afternoon is a trough. So the thing is, do something that is like mindless at that point. He also makes a very strong argument based on data for breaks, and that breaks should be a part of work. Breaks shouldn't be something you sneak off and take and you don't want people to see that you're taking a break because you'll look like a slacker. Breaks should be baked in. And he has this whole thing about a nappuccino where they have people, I couldn't believe this, have like a cappuccino and then take a nap. And the idea is the coffee will kick in 20 minutes and boing, you're back. So I think that's really clever. So this is quite the emerging field, and I can't remember, it's a couple of dozen different sort of disciplines that are now working on that and talking about, I'm just reading something about dieting too, that eating within a certain restricted time of the day, nods there, is better for you than noshing throughout the day and into the evening and whatever, which is more fun.
12-hour.
Yeah, 12-hour. Oh, anyhow. So, here goes, you guys. So play some more, play some more. How could you pilot test elements of chronobiology at work? And I can put that slide back up if you want to kind of look at what that sort of thing was, the trough. But now we're looking large, right? We're thinking company-wide, still could maybe do pilot tests, but you're really thinking in terms of the entire company, right? So you could do that one. So here's another one. Oh, this one, 4-day work week with 5 days of pay. There is some data that suggests that people are counterintuitively more productive, happier. It's sort of a no-brainer, the work-life balance, infinitely better. But the real difference too here is people are getting the same pay as for a 5-day work week. And so anybody super interested in that, go for it, because I think that's absolutely fascinating. And what would you do sort of, instead of just from the top down rolling it out, what could you do to pilot it first is what I'm trying to get at. Because you're going, well, wait a minute, maybe 5 days is better than the 4-day. You're still gonna weigh it. Okay. And then the last one, if you're just sick of thinking about pilot studies, this is a little just, thought experiment and so forth. All right, have at it for a few minutes. What are we doing? This would be just like that. No, it's fine. It'd just be like that same idea, experiment control, right?